This podcast is being brought to you by K Glover Wine, an experience like no other. Enjoy elegant taste. KGloverWine.com. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Troy Rawlings, and this is The Spotlight. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing entrepreneur, businessman, athlete, martial artist, fashion supermodel. Okay, it's too much. KENYON Glove. What's going on, man? How you feel?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Glad to be here, man. Thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
It's a blessing. We're here in wonderful, the media capital of the world,
Yes.
Hollywood, Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
On location near the bar.
Yeah.
So, no.
Without a drink right
Without
now.
a drink.
Right now.
Right now. So, for those that don't know KENYON Glover and what you're doing, first off, where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Originally from Monroe, Louisiana. Small town in Monroe, Louisiana, man. Probably a population of, 10,000 people, you know. But I'm proud of my city. Of my city. I rep my city.
We were just talking about how my mom's down in Louisiana now, and it's funny because when you start talking about places like Louisiana, country, rural, you're like, you know what, I lived there. I didn't even know. You said your pops was stationed at the area where my brother was stationed, Fort Polk.
Yeah.
As a child, coming up, everybody has dreams.
Right.
What did you want to do as a child? What was your focus? You knew that was something you wanted to do as a child. What did you want to do?
You know what? My first thing that I started doing was playing basketball.
So you
basketball. I knew automatically that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Well, I knew I wanted to be an athlete.
Right.
You know, basketball was one of them, and I used to watch, of course, Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, and I wanted to be one of those multi-athletes. You know what I mean? You wanted to play basketball, baseball, football, martial arts.
Right.
And I was in all these sports pretty heavily.
Right.
So that was pretty much what I wanted to do, man. I wanted to be an all-around athlete. I wanted to go from one sport to the next, to the next, to the next. I feel like I could do it all.
Were there a lot of your family was very supportive, or are you the only child?
No. Growing up, I was had stepbrothers and stepsisters.
Okay.
You know, I had a stepdad, and he pretty much the one that trained me in martial arts. He was like a grandmaster. You know, he had his own martial arts studio. So he pretty much trained me from, the time he came into my life at 6 years old, to the time I left home at 18. So I was heavily into martial arts and, in basketball and football and baseball and things like that. But also my stepbrothers was heavy in martial arts too. So we used to fight each other all the time, every day, sparring each other.
Every
time we got a chance, we was always fighting against each other, man. Of course I would win.
Did y'all have?
Of course I would win.
Right.
Of course.
Now, how tall are you?
I'm 6. Right now I'm 6'4".
So 6'4".
Yeah.
So 6'4". Were you always tall coming up, or did you sprout at a certain time in your life?
I had a growth spurt, man. Probably at about 10th, 11th grade.
Oh wow. Because you're 6'4", so that's the average guard, and that's a guard in the NBA.
Right.
So were you already playing like a guard position in school, or were you already playing basketball before you got the spurt?
Yeah, I was already playing basketball. I started playing basketball organized basketball.
Right.
Probably when I got into the junior high, probably about 8th grade. I think I started playing organized basketball, like with refs and blowing whistles and things like that.
Right.
And I started, kind of figuring out what traveling was and double dribbling and all that kind of stuff.
What are you doing?
Right.
Moving your feet, stop moving your feet.
I started really understanding the game at probably about the 8th grade. And I was playing center. I was 5, about the 8th, 9th grade. I was 5'8", 5'9".
Oh, so you were already tall.
I was tall. I was considered tall back then.
Right.
And now that I look at it, it's like I wasn't that tall. 5'8", 5'9" is not that tall. But back then,
and
you
had a little prowess, and you had the basketball, and you had the left. They probably also looked at the athleticism that you had because you were already doing something.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, because it's like over the summer when you get that spurt, or you go back to school.
Yeah. And you know what? I got my growth spurt when I went to Fort Polk, Leesville. That's when I got my growth spurt. I hit maybe about 6'2", 6'3". At about the 10th grade, I started dunking. Oh man, when I started dunking, it was a wrap. I felt unstoppable.
Especially in a town like Fort Polk, Louisiana, country town.
Yeah.
Those are sports towns. So
exactly.
all of a sudden, you become the kid that can dunk. The kid that's dunking. The
exactly.
Kid that's dunking. So not only were you had everything that was going on before that, now you K Glover.
I was jamming it in, man. I was the man. When I started dunking, I became the man after that. Couldn't stop me.
Because around the way, that's all we wanted to do. All we wanted to do.
Oh man, if you could dunk, everybody was talking about it. Everybody in the city knew. Oh, KENYON GLOVER, oh, he's dunking.
The first time, because we used to practice at dunk, every now and then you get somebody do it during the game. But it was one guy, Jimmy Woods. He did a dunk during the game. He was like a gymnast and he was gymnastics and stuff like that. He wasn't really tall, but he had hops, and we would just always practice. I remember the first time I got my first dunk. I didn't really have the ball all together, but I got it. Right. It's nothing like. But
everybody hyping you up and
Can you do it again? No.
Right.
It took everything I had.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go home now.
Right.
My liver's on the floor. They don't understand. So, going through school, you become the man. You're dunking. You're doing your thing. Sports.
Yeah.
Academics and sports at the same time. Were you focused on academics as well? But sports really took the.
Sports kind of took over, but I was kind of naturally smart.
No need to brag.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But
brilliant.
I naturally kept good grades. I had 3.5 and up all through high school. So it came natural for me. You know, I mean, of course, I studied and worked hard and all of that kind of stuff and made sure I passed tests because my mom and stepdad didn't play that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I came home less than a C, you know, I was in trouble. I was gonna get grounded or something's gonna get taken away or something like that. So I had to make sure I kept my grades up.
Yeah.
And that was my main focus. But I think it came naturally for me though.
Yeah.
You know, I always had A's and B's, always.
What college did you go to?
You know what? I transferred. I started off at University of Maine.
Okay.
And I ended up in University of Massachusetts.
Oh.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you realize you're killing in high school? You go to UMass. You're playing at UMass.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know? Because a lot of people don't make it. The misconception is that everybody that's a great player makes it in the NBA.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Jason Williams from Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Jason was on his way and a simple motorcycle accident. Next thing you know, his whole life has changed.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah.
And that's a small percentage of people that make it. But when did you realize you were going to make it into the NBA?
You know what? I knew it coming out of high school. I knew it was going to be a journey, but I knew eventually I was going to get there because the same year I came out of high school was the same year that Kobe came out.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And
Kobe went straight in.
Yeah, Kobe went straight in.
Right.
And I knew that I had that same kind of potential that he had. So I knew, okay, I may not go straight from high school to the NBA, but I know I have the potential to, but it's just going to, take me longer. I have to go through the college level first. And I was fine with that. So when I chose college and I got to that level and I started playing, I'm like, okay. I see what I'm up against now, seeing my competition and knowing that, okay, next couple of years I'm going to get better and develop and probably declare myself for the draft or whatnot. And as I went through University of Maine, of course, me and Coach started having issues and things wasn't working out. So I kind of like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get down on myself and say, okay, maybe this is not going to work out. It's not going to be easy as I thought. So let me see what options I have.
Because everybody has to. Most people may think, oh, they're good, they're this, and no. It has to be the person being good, and then a regiment of mentors and guides to help get you there.
Right.
And so I think some people may not understand that. It's more than just you being a good player to get into the
Exactly. I mean, you have to fit into the right system that's going to get you better.
Right.
And when I got to Maine, I felt like this system is really not working for me. I don't see me excelling in this system and helping me get to the next level.
Right.
So I had to make a decision quick. So I chose to let me make some calls and see what I can do. And UMass responded. It's like, hey, we would love for you to come to our program and develop you or whatnot. So I transferred and I took off. The system worked for me.
Right.
They put me in the right positions to shine.
Exactly. exactly.
And that's when I started being noticed by NBA scouts and overseas scouts and things like that. And that's when I knew, okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be all right.
So what team did you end up going with?
You know what? I didn't get, unfortunately, I declared myself for the NBA draft, but I didn't get drafted because when I decided to come out, there was a lot more prospects than I anticipated. So I didn't get drafted. So I went overseas. I settled for overseas. I went to England. I played for a year, and actually for a year and a half, and I started putting up good numbers. I was averaging 32 a game, over in England. So, I was like, yo, my NBA, my agent at that time was like, okay, I think you're ready. So he started doing his thing, working his magic, and the next thing you know, I started getting invites to different camps and Milwaukee Bucks. They liked what they saw, and they said, okay, we'll give you a shot.
I love it.
And that's how it all happened.
I love it.
I had arrived.
And I was still dunking.
Right.
I could dunk a little bit. It was a little different because these cats, they hit their shoulders above the rim.
Yeah.
I saw some stuff and cats jumping. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I see. This is something I think I'd like to ask anybody, but that's actually coming off of what you're doing business-wise. Because there's a story about some of the most successful people that came out of the NBA. And outside of Jordan, I think the second most successful businessman is not someone that most people know. It's the brother that owns all the Wednesdays franchises.
Exactly.
And I can't remember if he played for Milwaukee too. I can't remember what team he was with, but most people would never know his entirety of his story. This man is worth $500 million.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So in saying that, before we dove fully into business, what's the biggest lesson you learned, you took away from being in NBA?
I would say the biggest lesson I learned was how to manage my money, first and foremost.
Now you had a good core around you by the time.
I did not. And that's what forced me to learn how to manage my money, because I didn't really have a good team of people around me to kind of educate me, in that perspective. So, I was spending too much on nonsense. Right. Not saying cars and all that kind of stuff, houses and all that. I wasn't into all that materialistic kind of stuff, but my money was more going toward helping too many people.
Got you right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to come to find out that the people I was helping, they were basically giving me their ass to kiss in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then when the money kind of getting short, it was like, okay, well, we don't need you no more. We don't know you.
Right.
Thank you for what you've done, and that was it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I also learned. That's what taught me that you have to learn about the people you surround yourself with. I think that's the main key component that I learned from being in the NBA. Money management and surrounding myself with the right people.
Right.
And I end up surrounding myself with the wrong people, the wrong crowd. Leeches, as they call them. Straight leeches. They were just leeching off of me, see what they can get out of me, see how far they are, how much they could drain out of me. And, I was still young. I didn't know any better. So they managed to drain all they could out of me. And that taught me a lot, man. Taught me a lot. I have to be careful.
You base your friendship, the people. You see a lot of the hip hop artists going through it. They have their crew. They have their crew.
Their entourage.
Their entourage. I'm like, what the hell are these people doing? It's not like the show Entourage where everybody had some kind of purpose.
Right.
And that was his core crew. You look around and like, does Drake always roll with 15 people?
Right, exactly.
Lil Weezy, because all of a sudden Lil Weezy rolling with his crew, and then all of a sudden Lil Weezy started going down. Every now and then I saw him at the game the other day. He's sitting there by himself with headphones on. I was like, why are your headphones on? There's music playing in the arena.
Yeah.
He was waving at the end. Lil Weezy, baby. Where everybody at?
Yeah, you have to learn to cut people off, man. Because you'll learn, not saying you'll learn quick, but you'll start to learn eventually who's for you and who's not for you.
Every time you talk to him on the phone, like, what we doing tonight? I'm like, what we doing tonight?
Right, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I'm trying to get some sleep for the game. Man, the game ain't till 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Right.
Like,
You start realizing as you're going out and you're hanging out, it's like, okay, why am I always paying for everything?
You got the bill.
You know what I'm saying? Why am I always getting the bill? Right. You know, because somebody else paid sometime or something. You know what I'm saying? And I it took me a while to catch on to that.
Right.
You know, like I said, I was still young, still learning, and you know, wet behind the ears. But of course, you grow and mature and your eyes start to open. Right. And you start to realize certain things. Yeah.
So, and how old were you by the time you got to the Bucks?
I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had how long? So you were overseas. Did you do all 4 years and then go overseas, or did you leave before and go overseas?
I spent 5 years in college.
5 years.
Yeah, because I sat out 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I did all 4 years as far as basketball goes. Then I went overseas. Yeah.
Okay. So, greatest lesson you learned: how to manage your money. Mm-hmm. And surround yourself with the right people. Mm-hmm. People say a lot of times. Yeah, you got fans, little baby fans. Hey, look, I heard you. Going over there, your mother. People say a lot of times, if you look at the 5 closest people to you, you can kind of determine your future. Mm-hmm. Can't determine who your family's going to be.
Of course.
But when it comes to your team that's going to help you move forward, you definitely have to look at who are the people that are serious about my advancement and my betterment. So that's
that's absolutely right.
That's something that's so key, and it's good to hear from somebody who's like just listening to this portion of your story before we get into the next piece about the business. Just listening to that, you achieved a dream that a large majority of young men, not just African American men, young men in every culture want to achieve. And you said the biggest lesson you learned coming from that is one we hear all the time, especially from the guys we see the stories and like, who's the player, the NBA player. Every now and then they interview him because he had one of those $110 million contracts and he was broke.
Yeah.
And
Antoine Walker.
See, everybody. And everybody knows because he does that interview very well.
Yeah.
Hopefully he has something going now because that's what you known for that interview.
Right.
Like, Antoine Walker wants $110 million. You're like, you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time y'all talk, you go out to the club. It's like, can I get a VIP? Can you get a VIP? Come on, man. That was one interview.
Right.
What are the businesses that you currently own and operate?
My main company is KG Experience, and what KG Experience is it's a multi-divisional entertainment company which specializes in fashion, film, and fitness. So under the fashion entity portion, I have my own clothing line, which is KGX Activewear, which is a fitness apparel line. And we also have Georgia Peach Fashion Week, which is a annual event that we put on every year in Atlanta. So,
and is that in April every year or in spring? Or
we do it different times every year. We just did it in Atlanta in April.
Nice.
Just past. It's become one of the biggest fashion events in the South, man. In just 3 years, we launched. We launched in 2015, and it's become the biggest event in the South, man. It's the most talked about event, man, and we take pride in everything that we do. Let's see what else we got. We got the film portion of the company, in which we do film production. We do film and television content. We're working on quite a few projects right now. We are in talks with Roku and Netflix about releasing some projects on their platform.
Yeah.
And we're also talking to other networks. Hopefully we'll get something on, major platform, major network pretty soon, hopefully. Got quite a few film projects that we're getting ready to produce right now. Let's see, we just released one project, Cheaper to Keeper, which hopefully will be on Netflix within the next couple months.
Now, is that a newer one or is that a...
Yeah, it's a new one. Just released it, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we got the fitness portion of our company. We do fitness consulting, because I've been in fitness all my life. So, of course, naturally, I was going to do something in fitness.
And it's one of the health and fitness industry is one of the leading industries in
Exactly.
the world right now.
Exactly. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So why would I not dabble into that a little bit? So, we have our own fitness supplements also. We have a fat burner, and we have a pre-workout formula also. And I just launched my own wine and champagne brand, which is called KENYON Glove Wines. We have
the music when I saw that he had the wine situation, I was like, all right, man, we gotta sit down and talk about this wine thing. Plus, big shout out to Zuri Wine Tasting 20 Price. I don't know
Yeah.
good friend of mine. She's in South Africa now.
Okay.
But you just launched that.
Yeah, just
Let's
launched
go
it.
there. What made you do that? What was your main interest, or was it because you saw the business opportunity first, or it was a little bit of both? I'd like to have my own brand, and there's a multi-billion-dollar.
Right. Well, you know what? I've always been a fan of Diddy. And, of course, Diddy has Ciroc.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It would be kind of cool to have my own brand of vodka. First I wanted vodka because, he had vodka. So I was like, I think it'd be kind of cool to have, like a Glover vodka or whatever the case may be. And I was always curious to how to dabble into that. So, I gave it a try. I made some calls and asked some people, say, hey, how do I get into that industry? So I started making some calls and asking a few people, and they started, doing their research, and they got back with me. And of course, they gave me some different scenarios and ideas. And I was like, okay, well, it's kind of expensive when they started presenting as far as the money aspect, as far as the investment that would be involved. And I was like, okay, is there another route? Maybe not vodka, maybe something else. So a guy called me. This happened in September 2017. He was like, yo, I got this opportunity for you. How would you like to have your own wine and champagne? I was like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. I wanted to do vodka, but maybe we should try the wine and champagne. And I was like, okay, what do I have to do? What's the investment or whatnot? What's the details? So he introduced me to the vineyard in California.
Nice.
And very nice guy. And he was like, I would love to work with you and collaborate with you in creating your own wine and champagne brand. So he gave me like a whole list of different flavors and all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm a health person. I have my own fitness company. So I would love for my brand to be more health conscious.
Right.
So I said, what do you suggest as far as being more healthy, like a more healthy wine? And, he's like, well, we have these different kind of fruits.
Yes.
So he started talking about the pomegranate, green apple, almond, acai berry. So I was like, that's, those are perfect kind of fruits that are very healthy. Especially pomegranates is good for, I think, cancers. Apple, of course, is good for diabetes and things like that. And almond and acai berry, of course, have a good antioxidants in it. So I was like, I want to go with those flavors. And so let's make those a wine and champagne. And, so that's how it all started. I was like, I think this is perfect. I want to go ahead and let's make it happen. So
and
of course,
you indulged and started tasting.
Yeah, I started doing the taste testing, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm sold right here. This is what I want. So we launched the pomegranate wine, we launched the green apple wine, the acai berry wine, and the almond champagne.
Yes.
All of them are very health conscious.
Right.
And as soon as I launched it, oh man, it took off. I didn't expect the kind of feedback and response I was getting once people started trying it and tasting it. They was like, oh man, this is the best wine I've ever had. This is it doesn't have any kind of bitter taste, especially the champagne. How the champagne has that little bitter taste to it, that grindy.
Right.
Mine doesn't have that at all. It tastes more like a smooth wine, more than a champagne. So, and you can taste the fruits, but you can also taste the wine kind of taste and the champagne taste, and people were just loving it, man. I've had nothing but just positive reviews, positive feedback, and I was like, okay, I'm on to something right here.
And it seems like you're doing things because I interview over the years, I've interviewed a lot of people, but when you're talking to certain people about business, it seems like they could be talking business about business, and it's very strange. But everything he's talking about, you might just smile a lot. You have a smile. He's talking about the wine like it's the new girlfriend. He's like,
it is sort of,
right. It's the mistress. So you tend to go with things that it seems like in business. You tend to go with businesses that not just it has to make you feel good too.
Right, it has to make sense. Right,
it has to make sense for what you're tied into. And now, your pedigree coming from school, you you have a business background.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you major in school? What are your degrees in?
Majored in business management.
Right.
Because I always knew, growing up, I was always taught, sports is not going to last forever. Basketball is not going to last forever. You got to have a backup plan. You got to have something else that you love to do.
Right.
Besides just playing basketball or besides martial arts or whatever. And I always said, you know what, I would love to own my own business. Of course. So when I got into college, that was my main focus, is majoring in business, studying business, everything I want to know, I want to, want it to be business. So that was my main focus, other than playing sports, of course. So I knew eventually that I was going to start my own business. I just didn't know what, of course, at that time, going to college, but I just knew I wanted to own my own businesses. Yeah.
Right. Now, on your production side, your production company, is that what brought you to Los Angeles? What brought you? When did you come to Los Angeles?
I moved to Los Angeles in 2007.
Okay.
And film, television, acting.
When did you get the act? When did you know the acting bug had hit you? When did you get that?
Wow, I got that in 2006. Actually, I was living in Atlanta at the time.
Oh, okay.
And I was modeling. After the NBA was over and all of that, I started doing some modeling, and somebody said, you know what, you should try acting. Just give it a shot. You may like it or whatnot. I was like, okay, whatever. So I went to this acting class, and the acting coach asked me to participate. So he was like, would you like to participate in this scene study? I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And I did it, and I was hooked.
That's funny.
Fell in love with it.
That was the same answer that Will Smith gave when Benny Medina came to him and said, I have this show, this TV idea, and this, that, and other. He was like, yo, I don't act.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you never know where people are in their life when something like that happens.
Exactly.
Because opportunity comes to you in different forms.
Right.
So all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't really act. Like, well, why don't you try it?
Why don't you try it? Right, exactly.
And then it's all of a sudden you got
boom. I fell in love with it at that moment, man. At that moment, I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting.
Right.
Portraying somebody else.
Right.
And I think it was a challenge. I love the challenge of being able to step outside of myself and become somebody else.
Right.
And take on the characteristics and everything else of somebody else.
Right.
I just found that kind of fascinating. And it was very challenging. I'm a kind of person, I love challenges.
Right.
And I found that as a challenge to kind of lose myself and take on somebody else's personality. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And the more and more I did it, the more passionate I became, about it, about the industry, about the culture of acting and filmmaking. And I was hooked. And that's like all I wanted to do from then on. I was sold.
Kenyon Glover. We're talking to Kenyon Glover, businessman, ex-NBA player, actor, model, swimming coach. I don't know. I just saw something the other day. I'm on Instagram and I see Anthony Joshua, I love boxing, but anytime we think about boxing, I think it's something about the boxers from England. They just seem so poised and so light.
Yeah.
But this is a big dude. He's knocking jokers out.
Yeah.
But I see him in the pool talking to this dude, and I'm like, is that Michael Phelps?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
It's like it was so casual. Like, he's just talking.
It's
like
just another day, right?
But when I see Michael stretch, I was like, oh, I recognize that cat from Baltimore. Is that Michael Phelps? And it was just me thinking about the connections, the people, people who influence people. Who are some of your biggest influences that people may not get in? And some may be obvious, but who are some of your biggest influences?
People are kind of astonished when I say one of my major influences growing up was Bruce Lee.
Well,
people are like, really?
If they know, well, you're not because of
my martial arts background.
Right, but most people, they don't see that when they see you.
Exactly.
They don't think.
You would never know.
Oh, you didn't know. You see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like basketball.
Right.
But you're not thinking, this guy's also a martial artist.
Right, exactly.
But, that's something that, like you said, when we talked about the whole Louisiana thing, and to have that kind of training, it's something that becomes a discipline. You learn the art form, and you fall in love with it.
Exactly.
But they don't see that when they see you. They say, oh, this dude, he must play ball.
Yeah. I'm sure you watched Michael Jordan growing up.
Right.
But yeah, people never would think I would. One of my biggest influences is Bruce Lee, man. That's all. Growing up, Like I said, once my
Black Belt
stepdad
Theater.
came into my life,
Right.
that's all we did was watch Bruce Lee movies or martial arts movies, and that's all I knew.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For
That's
years.
all I knew. I was a typical kid that like watched cartoons and all that kind of stuff. It was straight martial arts and Bruce Lee. That's all I knew. So that was like my main influence. I just wanted to be like Bruce.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I was with the scream. What's You know, I was all of that, man. I was all of that.
Dum, the music, dum. You knew as soon as it
Right.
go off, it's like y'all gonna either go and wrestle in the yard or y'all gonna be spinning.
And that was us. That was us. Soon as the movie, like you just said, as soon as it went off, we went straight outside and practiced every move.
Right.
Yeah.
Start flying through there.
Yep.
You kicked me in my lip. So Bruce Lee,
Yeah. Of course, Michael Jordan. That's man. I watched Bulls games. I couldn't miss a Bulls game.
I like what LeBron did the other day. He, so much comparison of each person and each time. I like the fact that Kobe mentioned that he was like, let LeBron be LeBron, let Mike be Mike, let me be me.
Right.
But it's funny how he mentioned. He said, "Look, Mike got his 6, I got my 5, LeBron got his 3. Let them all be." I was like, "Why don't you put them in that order?"
Right.
Because it's funny that people jump over Kobe in the conversation
Exactly.
about one of the greatest.
Exactly.
And I always think about that.
Yeah.
But LeBron talked about, he said, "I wear the number 23. He said, when Mike did down his knee pad, I do that. When he put his wristband on his elbow, I did that. He said, everything that Mike did, I did. He said, just to be in the conversation with him is now, some years back when he had the conversation, he was like, let me be me, this, that, and that. But as you get older, you start realizing it's like, oh my God, I just beat his playoff scoring numbers.
Right.
So everybody has somebody they look. Michael Jordan is for us.
He was a god to me growing up. He was a god, man.
Even for people that didn't play, it's like, what? And sometimes you won't, for the kids, the way they view LeBron now is the way we look at Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, right. Exactly. So growing up, man, Bruce Lee and Michael Jordan, that was it. As soon as martial arts movie went off, I went outside, practicing my martial arts. As soon as the Michael Jordan game went off, the Bulls start playing, I go out, start working on my moves. So it was those are my biggest influences, man, growing up. That's all I did. Watch basketball, watch martial arts. Like I said, I didn't watch cartoons, didn't do none of that.
In acting, who are some of your people you look at acting and say, okay, I want to kind of, or I like what they're doing?
Yeah, when I did get into the entertainment world, acting and all of that, man, of course Denzel was
he's
the GOAT in acting, right?
The GOAT in acting.
He was the guy I looked up to. Him and Will Smith. Those are the two guys. Not because they're African American. I'm African American, but I just saw them as, I guess because they are African American. But it's not the reason. But I just saw them as they're acting gods.
Yeah, the quality of what they do,
the quality of their work.
Right.
Of course, you look at Denzel's body of work and what he has done and accomplished is just,
it's phenomenal. Right, it's phenomenal.
Incredible.
Right, it's phenomenal. And he's, like I said, once again, to us, he would be equivalent to what Sidney Poitier was to probably him.
To them, right, exactly.
And with Will, he says a key. I've been doing entertainment, marketing, promotion, and the social media realm, especially since like '98. So to watch even what Will has been able to do lately on social media with Instagram.
Yeah.
Will, he's a hard worker.
He is.
He's not going to let somebody outwork him. And you look at those people. I look at people like yourself and listening to your story, and looking at Will and looking at people like that, and I say, well, we know it takes hard work, and it doesn't stop, but you have a level of enjoyment with what you do that I think that's the magnetism that's gonna that people relate. Well, even for you and all you have accomplished thus far, you have great goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years?
You know what? In the next 2 years, I do want my company, KG Experience, to be in conversation. When people are mentioning companies like Merrill Lynch or Paramount Studios or Warner Brothers or Kinko's or whatever, what I'm saying? When people are naming companies, I want KG Experience to be one of those companies that, hey, KG Experience, they're doing big things in fashion, film, fitness, and K Glover Wines is, in every store, every restaurant, bar, whatever around the world.
Yes.
I want KG Experience to be, up there in one of those discussions. I also want to be up there in the mentions with Denzel and Will Smith, and Dwayne Johnson and those actors.
Right.
I want to be in that level where people are talking about me, like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's hot right now.
He's
2, 3, 4 movies a year right now.
A phenomenal story of how to pick, where you're going to be, even with Will and with him and his partner with Overbrook and what they did with pegging him in position. He said he talked to Arnold Schwarzenegger one time, and he was like, "Oh man," he said he was with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I think Sylvester Stallone, something like that. And he talked to him, "You guys are mega movies, world superstars." He said, "How do I go about doing it?" He said, Arnold was like, "Well, if you want to be a superstar, a mega superstar," he said, "don't just focus on America." It's terrible.
You had to go international.
Like African Schwarzenegger. I don't know what I'm just doing right now. But he said, make sure that internationally, worldwide, they view you as a superstar. He said it's cool to have a hit in America, but to be a superstar, you have to be world renowned.
Worldwide, yeah.
And he looked at their path, and he said he looked at what are the biggest grossing films right now, and at the time it was sci-fi. And buddy cop and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Bad Boys, Independence Day, all that stuff was by design. So I love hearing your story. I love looking at the people that we consider influences, because if you look at what they do by design, they set a template.
Yeah.
They set a course. So what do you want to be remembered for? Period. I mean, not you got a long road ahead of you before that even. But
well, you never know. You never know. I do want to be remembered as a man that tried to change the world. I did my best to try to change or influence every person that I could. I want people to remember me as somebody that was always trying to make people happy, make people smile. Everybody I interact with, I just try to leave some kind of mark in their life that, hey, he touched my life. I got a call, real talk right now. I got a call about 2 weeks ago. This guy hit me on, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't a call. It was a Facebook message. He hit me through Facebook message. He said, "Kenyon, man, I just want to let you know, you shared a video about 2 weeks ago, and it kept me from committing suicide. It kept me from killing myself." And the video was just me just speaking on, just doing a motivational kind of speech or whatnot. It's like a minute long. I can't remember what I said. It was probably about a month ago when I did the video. But he said that video helped me keep going. It kept me from killing myself because I was just suicidal. And when I seen your video, it popped up on my feed, and it just sparked something to me. It kept me from taking myself out. And I just wanted to just let you know, man, thank you. I know that you touch a lot of lives, but I just want to let you know you touched my life and you changed my life. And that right there, when I got that message, man, for some reason, man, it put me in tears, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know what life you touching just by posting a simple video or posting a simple message or talking to somebody, taking the time to just talk to somebody and just motivate that person or just say something positive to that person or whatnot. You never know what kind of effect that could have on somebody. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I want to be remembered.
Enough said. No, I don't even. Enough said. You everything you do, folks, it touches someone. So, not saying that you have to be a star or a super business person to be in the spotlight, but you're in someone's spotlight every day. How can people get in touch with Kenyon Glover or find out more about what you're doing?
You can always find me on Facebook, Kenyon Glover, Instagram, Kenyon Glover, Twitter, Kenyon Glover.
Use your name, people.
Yeah, just use my name. Search me. Google me.
Google me.
People like to say that. Google me.
Google me.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so just Google me. And you'll find plenty of stuff on me, how to reach out to me. So, I'm not one of those unapproachable kind of people.
Right.
People used to always say, well, you don't want to make yourself too available or too approachable. I'm like, why not?
We're
You know what I'm
here in this
saying?
life to
I'm not bigger than
coexist.
life.
Right.
Nobody's bigger than life.
Nobody's bigger than life.
So yeah, I'm always approachable, man. I try to connect with everybody I can, man. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Last thing you want to say to everybody before you get out of here?
I think I posted something on Facebook, I think about 2 days ago. I said, you're going to go through life. You're going to face hardships. You're going to face struggles. You're going to face trials and tribulations. But those are the things that help us to grow. Those are the things that help us to want to overcome anything that's thrown at us. Life is not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be successful, rich, have everything they wanted. But it's the hardships, it's the trials and tribulations that make things more satisfying when you do reach that pinnacle of success, when you do reach that pinnacle of obtaining the money that you want or whatever you're trying to achieve in life. The thing about it, you just cannot stop. You cannot give up. You cannot give in to hardships. You cannot give in to when things get hard, when things get tough. You got to overcome it. We all have something deep inside of us that God has given us that's going to help us to overcome anything we're faced with. You just got to dig deep and keep going, keep fighting. You're meant for greatness. We all are meant for greatness. But you just got to not give up. Keep going. Keep striving. Keep reaching.
That's it. Kenyon Glover, thank you so much for being on the spotlight. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we look forward to great things.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.